Have you ever noticed that just when life starts to go your way, like things are going really well, you suddenly find yourself messing things up, whether it is intentional or not? Maybe you've been procrastinating on this really important big project, or you decide to skip the gym after being consistent with it for a couple of weeks. Well, does that sound familiar? Because I want to know, why is it that we self-sabotage ourselves when things finally seem to be going our way? And this is a question that I ask myself time and time again when I do get into that situation. And I actually went to dictionary.com to Google, what does self-sabotage actually really mean? And by the dictionary definition, it is to behave, especially habitually or compulsively, in a way that interferes directly with one's own goals, well-being, relationships, etc. I guess self-sabotage is a thing where you take actions that disrupt your progress or happiness, and I can definitely relate to that. And trust me, it is more common than you think, because it's something that many of us do without even realizing it. And I always, ask this question like, okay, why is it that when I know that life gets good, there's just something in me that wants to ruin it in a way? Like, I feel like, oh no, maybe I should just do something so that this doesn't, go the way that I want it to be, because it seems like I don't deserve those good things happening in my life. I used to struggle a lot with that in the past, and even now there are times where I do question myself and I find myself to be in this self-sabotaging behaviors. Like, these things, start to come up and I just don't know what to do with it. So in this episode of A Thriving You, where is your cozy space for all things mindset shifts, self-growth, and stories that can hopefully level up your life, I really want to talk about, why we self-sabotage, and most importantly, how we can actually break the cycle, which I know it is easier said than done, and it is not as easy, but it is definitely doable. And it's something that I am also consciously working on as well, and that is why I want to talk about it in today's episode. Now, I know this is going to sound silly, but I have a couple of reasons as to why, we get into this self-sabotaging behavior. And some of the root cause is fear of success, which I know sounds a bit ridiculous when you think of it, because most of the time people are afraid of failure. They have a fear of failure, but fear of success is something that, it's kind of unheard of in a sense. But I do think that most of us have that fear of success and we don't even realize it. So sometimes we're just scared of, what success might bring. For me, I think that when I'm successful, it means that I have more responsibilities. And that scares the shit out of me, to have a lot of responsibilities, because one, I feel like when I have a lot of responsibilities, it means that I really have to lock the fuck in and not mess it up. Because if I do mess it up, it's not just me that, I'm responsible for, but there are also other people that I am responsible for as well. So it's not something that I can just be like, okay, whatever, I have a lot of responsibilities, it's fine. Like, even if I don't do it, it's all on me. But the thing is, it does not just affect me, but it affects other people as well. And I think that's one thing that scares me, because I'm afraid of disappointing other people or letting them down if I don't take full responsibility of the things that I'm responsible for, which I know sounds a bit insane, because hello, you're a full-grown adult, you're supposed to take your own responsibilities. You have to take action on it. That's just an inner problem thing that I definitely need to, figure it out myself. But when you have more responsibilities, there are also sacrifices that have to be made in order to fulfill those responsibilities. And that's just something that you do have to figure out when you are in that situation. So, for example, maybe you got promoted, okay? And you got a higher pay, you finally got that position and you're really proud of yourself. And then you think, oh shit, that means that I have more responsibilities, and when I have more responsibilities, I have to sacrifice some of the things in my life in order to fulfill those responsibilities. And that could look like, oh, I won't be able to spend, as much time with my family. You might even get judgment from other people if you do become successful. And I think this is something that I feel like whatever that you do in life, you will constantly get judged from people that you know and don't know you. I know it's such a weird concept, right? People that don't know you that are judging you, but I think that's just human nature. We all judge, let's face it. but when you are in the pursuit of being successful on your own terms, you're definitely going to receive judgment, not just from strangers, but also from people that you know and also people that you love that might judge you, because everyone's paths are really different. Sometimes when people don't understand what you're going through, the easiest way for them to not understand is to judge, which I know sounds kind of sad, but it's just the reality of how some things are. And I know that it's something that you definitely cannot control, because when people judge you, like, you can't control everyone, like, they're gonna judge, and that's just how it is. But the one thing that you can control is the way you handle yourself in situations like that, right? And the one thing that you can do with judgment is to reframe your perspective on it. Sometimes when you hear judgment from people, obviously it's gonna come off, in a negative way, but you can always reframe it and think, okay, that person does not understand the way that I'm doing things right now, and that's okay, because everyone's different. And if they don't understand and they continue to judge, that is their problem, and it is not your problem at all. And this is one thing that I constantly even remind myself, is that what other people think of you is none of your business. Okay, let me repeat that again. What other people think of you is none of your business. When they're judging you, you're not physically there with them. Even if, let's say, you're in a setting where people are literally judging you in real life, right in front of you, face to face, it's fine. Let them be. Just let them go, It's like you don't have to entertain people that drain your energy and lowers down your vibration. Okay, we need to have the high vibes. We don't need people to, lower our vibes. All we can do is to extract ourselves from that situation and just let it go, which I know is easier said than done, but honestly, when you do that, it feels really liberating. But yeah, that I actually went off tangent with that, because we were talking about fear of success, but that is one of the root causes of self-sabotage, is when you have that fear of success. And another thing is also imposter syndrome, and you feel like you don't deserve the good things in life, and that it could lead to actions that align with those feelings. And one of the examples is that, let's say you receive all the good things in your life, but you don't feel good receiving those good things because you feel unworthy to receive those things. You feel like you don't deserve good things, even though you have those things. So because you feel that way, you're going to create actions that align with the current feeling that you have right now. It does not even matter whether you are receiving all these good things continuously, but because you don't feel good about it, you're gonna create actions that align with the way that you feel. And one example could be, you're turning down opportunities because you're afraid that you're not good enough. So let's say you went through so many job interviews and you finally got this dream job, and they say yes, and they want to hire you, and it is at a good salary that you want, maybe better than you thought, and you feel like, okay, you know what, wait, why is it that they accepted me? I'm not that good enough. What if I fuck it up? What if I have too much pressure, I cannot handle myself, and then I disappoint everyone and they fire me? And the thing is, you have all these thoughts that are not even happening. You haven't even accepted it, and you're already thinking of the bad, negative stuff, and then you decide to turn it down because you feel like you don't deserve it. As cheesy as it may sound, I genuinely feel that everyone deserves good things in life. That imposter syndrome may not go away, especially when you're doing things that you've never done before. And that's okay. You've never done it before. Of course, you're going to have the imposter syndrome. Of course, you're going to feel like, oh, I'm not capable enough. But the thing is, how do you know that you're not capable of it if you're not going to do the thing, right? So if it's something that you've never done before, but it's something that you've always wanted to do, lean into that opportunity, take it, receive it, because you deserve it. And if, let's say, you do lean into the opportunity and you take it, and you find out that you don't like it anymore, or maybe you kind of suck at it, it's okay. We can always start again. And when I say start again, you're not starting from scratch. You're always starting from experience. And the next thing that you're going to tackle on will be with more experience, and you'll be better at tackling it. So I know imposter syndrome can be a bitch sometimes, but it is definitely something that is not permanent. You can definitely remove yourself from feeling that way. And the only way for you to not be in that imposter syndrome is to just accept things that are coming to your way, the good things, and not constantly turning down opportunities or like good things to you just because you feel like you're not good enough. That is just a feeling. You can change your feeling with action. And another root cause for self-sabotage can also be being unfamiliar with happiness. Now, if you're so used to struggling or like chaos or not being stable, feeling happy or secure or at peace can be really uncomfortable sometimes, and also even scary because you're just not used to that feeling. It just feels really foreign to you that you're in this, healthy new environment. And I think a lot of us can relate to it, especially in relationships, because if you're so used to being in a relationship where it is so unstable, you're not certain about things, you don't feel secure, and then suddenly you're in this relationship where it's like healthy and, healthy, happy, at peace and content and fulfillment. I can completely relate to that because prior to my current relationship right now, I was in situationships, I was dating people that, were not good for me, and things were just really not certain and unstable. And now that I am in this, healthy relationship, it feels foreign at first because I was not used to feeling safe. I was not used to feeling secure or at peace. And since working through those feelings, I realized that I am deserving of these good things happening to my life because I just simply deserve it. You don't need a list of things to realize that you deserve good things in your life. And for me, being in this relationship where you finally feel at peace and you feel really safe, while it feels different, it's also something that I realized that it's something that I've been wanting for a long time, because when you're so used to the chaos, you start to tell yourself this story that, okay, you know what, maybe I do deserve, this type of chaos, this type of like toxicity, is that how you say it? Basically something toxic, okay? You start to tell yourself that, you know what, maybe I will never find the one, or I will never find the love of my life, and I will always be in this toxic cycle. But that is not true. The thing is, when you're so used to being in certain environments, you start to tell yourself or even give yourself this identity that this is just who you are as a person, and that's just your life and you cannot change it. But that is simply not true. And I know that it's easier said than done, because when you're in it, you're in the trenches, it's really hard to get out of it. But slowly with, being self-aware and taking action, you start to realize that things around you are changing because you're doing different things to get a different outcome. Like I said, you cannot do the same thing and expect different results. So when you start to change, your habits, or change the ways that you're living your life, you start to change for the better, you start to notice things around you changing as well. And that's when all of the good things start coming to you, because you are attracting all the good things that you've always wanted. The last thing that I do have to say about, self-sabotaging is that we also have self-limiting beliefs or subconscious beliefs where you feel like maybe you're not worthy enough, or like I'm not capable, I don't deserve good things. When you say things like that to yourself, this negative self-talk, it can just naturally drive you to have this self-sabotaging behaviors that you're not aware of. And that's one thing that I guess we have to take into consideration when we do have this self-sabotaging feelings come up. When you start to talk negatively about yourself, you are going to have actions that match the things that you say about yourself. And if you're going to talk negatively about yourself, the actions that are going to match those negative things are not going to be nice. It's going to be kind of ugly. So, it's best to not say negative things about yourself, which I know, again, is easier said than done. But honestly, please, if you have been talking shit about yourself, I want you to stop right now. When people say like, oh, would you say those things to people that you care about? Of course you're not going to say those things. Will you tell your mom that she's a piece of shit? No, you're not going to say that, because why would you say that? So if you're not going to say it to people that you love, why would you say it to yourself? And if you're like, well, maybe I don't love myself, that's why I say shit to myself, don't do that, okay? I want you to love yourself just as much as you pour love into other people, because you deserve it. And if you're looking for, someone to love you, the one thing that you should do is to love yourself before allowing other people to love you. And I know that's kind of deep right now, but I'm really passionate about, talking about self-love and stuff like that. And people think that it can be kind of cheesy and tacky, maybe a bit pretentious, but honestly, I don't give a fuck, because we are all being put on this earth for a reason. And maybe we don't know what the reason is, but the one thing that you shouldn't do is to hate yourself. Of course we're gonna do things that we don't like ourselves for it, but that doesn't mean that you deserve all that hate from yourself. I think one exercise that I did before was to actually look at my younger self, kind of like your inner child in a sense, and realize that hey, it's your first time living on this earth. Of course you're gonna make mistakes. Of course you're gonna navigate life and go through shit, but that does not mean that you don't deserve love. So yeah, a bit of tension yet again, but yeah. I'm gonna talk about how those root causes of self-sabotage can manifest in a way. It can manifest into different behaviors, such as procrastination, which I can vouch for that because I do procrastinate a lot when I want to self-sabotage myself. For example, when I do land a high-ticket client and it's a brand that I've been wanting to work with in a long while, I already signed and I'm happy that I'm working on this project. But again, because I have this fear of success or whatever the hell is going on in my head, I just procrastinate. And I start to think, what would happen if I decide to, give all the deliverables and then hope that they hate it, maybe they hate it and then I won't get the job anymore. Like, I don't know what it is, which I know sounds ridiculous, but for some reason when you procrastinate, it's also kind of like a sign that you're giving to yourself that, okay, let's just see what happens when I leave it to the last minute or when I don't do it, So that could be a common self-sabotaging behavior. And another thing is also overcommitting, which means you're saying yes to a lot of things even though you have a lot on your plate right now and you're underperforming it. So you're saying yes, but then you realize, oh shit, I actually cannot take all of this responsibility. So you just underperform. And another thing is also avoidance or withdrawal. And this typically relates a lot to relationships as well. Like when you have that self-sabotaging behavior, you tend to avoid when you are in a really good relationship or you really like someone, you really want to pursue them, you have that avoidance or withdrawal. And lastly, negative self-talk, which is something that I spoke about earlier. Again, when you have this self-sabotaging behaviors, you tend to talk negatively about yourself. Yeah, sometimes we give ourselves tough love, but there's a limit, right? There's a boundary. And sometimes I feel like with ourselves, we can get too harsh, and sometimes you just deserve a hug. You don't deserve all that harshness that you give to yourself. I know this because I tend to say to myself that I'm really weak and I need to really discipline myself, and that's why I need to be really harsh about myself, which I'm still working on. But at the same time, I do realize that I don't have to be that harsh, And one thing that I do have to say is that sometimes it just helps when you give yourself grace, because we're all humans. And again, at the end of the day, it's our first time living on earth. We don't know how to navigate things. Like if you're in your 40s, hey, it's your first time being 40. Of course you won't know how to do certain things, and that's okay. So with all this to say, I'm also going to provide some solutions that we can collectively take together if we have self-sabotaging behaviors. And the first thing is to identify your triggers. And this is one thing that I really encourage people to do, which is to be self-aware. Now, when you feel like this self-sabotaging behaviors are starting to come up, like they're triggering something in you, I want you to take out a piece of paper or your journal and start writing down why you feel this way. By doing this, you're building awareness through patterns. I want you to realize, okay, now that I finally receive this job promotion, I feel good about it. Yeah. And then, all those things start to sink in, and then I realize, oh my gosh, I don't want this anymore because I'm scared. Okay, ask yourself, why are you scared of this? Well, I'm scared of this because I'm afraid that I might disappoint people. Okay, why would you disappoint people? Maybe I would disappoint people because I'm not doing it good enough. Okay, why would you think that you won't do it good enough? Well, I think I won't do it good enough because what if I fucked up? Well, the thing is, have you fucked up yet? Well, no, not really. I've not fucked up yet. Okay, great. So why are you thinking of all the things that have not happened yet? So the thing is, when you write down questions and you answer it yourself, you will find the root cause as to why you're feeling this way. Another thing is that you can reframe your beliefs. So, for example, I want you to challenge the thoughts that can lead to self-sabotage. Replace words like, I'm not worthy enough. I'm not capable. I'm useless. I want you to reframe it and change it to something else. I am capable of doing hard shit. I can do hard things. And I am smart. I'm not stupid. I am smart. I want you to basically reframe those negative self-talk about yourself and change it into something positive. Because oftentimes we don't realize this, but we talk a lot of shit about ourselves. But the moment you reframe the words around it, it makes a lot of difference. And the last thing is to seek support. Now, this could be, going to therapy, talk to your life coach. But if you don't have any of those resources, it's okay. You can just simply talk to someone who you trust. For me, I trust my sister and my partner a lot. So I go to them for advice. I go to them when I need someone to listen. And not only that, they would also help me to navigate through these feelings, because sometimes you don't realize that when you're in your head so much, it gets tough to navigate your feelings. But the moment you actually talk to someone where you can hear yourself out, basically, you realize that, oh, okay, now I know why I'm feeling this way. Let me retract back. When you talk out loud, it is easier for you to navigate your feelings. And that's why, when you talk to someone that you trust, you talk to someone who you feel like you're in a safe space without judgment and they're gonna listen to you, that's when it really helps to navigate your feelings. And let's say you don't have a therapist, you don't have a life coach, or you don't have anyone that you believe that you can trust or talk to for support, go outside. I want you to take a walk, because when people say go take a walk, it will clear your head, trust me, it helps. It's not something that people just say because it's a generic advice, even though I know it sounds like it. But when you step outside, you see people, you see the sky, you see the trees, you see different things. Suddenly, the things that you were feeling really stuck about just slowly disappears. And I'm not saying it will disappear completely, because when you're at home or in an office, you're in this confined space, you feel really stuck. It kind of feels a bit claustrophobic, to be completely honest. And then you have shallow breathing. You feel like you cannot breathe properly. But the moment you step outside, you automatically feel calm and at ease, because when you see people walking outside, you realize, oh, okay, there's also other people who are, living on this earth. And maybe they're also navigating through these feelings similar, or maybe they're, having it worse than you. You'll never know. But for some reason, when you step outside and you take a walk, it shifts your perspective subtly, whether you notice it or not. Now, self-sabotage isn't a reflection of your worth. It is often a reflection of unaddressed fears or beliefs. But the good news is that you can change it. And don't make self-sabotage your identity, because you can change it. So with that being said, that is the end of today's episode of A Thriving You. I hope this helped you in one way or another. And if you resonate with this, leave me in the comments down below. What's one area of your life where you've noticed self-sabotage? Let me know in the comments below, and I would love to chat with you guys there. I'm gonna end today's episode, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.